From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. Coming up on today's show, Renegade Express, maybe more. We'll figure it all out together. Wake Up Warchant, as always, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Check them out Friday. That would be tomorrow, as you're listening to this, over at Southwood's Top Tracer Golf Range, Corey Clark, for the Chipping 4, but 4 spelled as an F-O-R-E, like Ira's tee shots, his errant tee shots. That's a low blow. I'm sorry. Love you, Ira.
It was.
The Chipping for the Children Charity Golf Challenge. All proceeds will go to help local teenagers in foster care from 6 to 8 p.m. on Friday. 9 holes of the Top Tracer Golf, closest to the pin, and long drive bays. So head out there, raffles, prizes, awards, everything going down at the Corner Pocket afterwards. Team of 4, $300. If you just want to roll out there solo, it's $75. Be sure to check it out, everybody. And you can get involved by contacting Chad Sedum at chad21s at gmail.com. That's Chad, I think 21s at gmail.com. Is this your idea, Corey? Chipping for the children?
It is not, but it's a good idea. I think they tried to do it a few months ago, and it got rained out, so they're back at it again.
So they can melt. So they can melt this time.
Well, at least it's 6 to 8, so it shouldn't be too bad. And that thing is really cool at Southwood. I have done that before. I probably a lot of people listen to this have done Top Golf or even done like the Top Golf swing suites where you hit a ball into a mat, and it'll tell you where it went. Like it'll tell you, oh, that went 180 yards, and you've got 140 left of the pin or whatever.
Gotcha.
But this, you're actually on the driving range. So it's open where you're actually hitting a ball and it's going 200 yards, but it's still registering on the top flight tracer thing.
Ooh,
it's really
like a
neat.
Pro golfer, yeah.
Yes, and it tells you exit velocity. I think that's what they call it, ball speed, whatever they call it in golf. But you can also play like Pebble Beach. You can play St. Andrews. You can play all these famous courses and play the actual layouts. So it's cool, man. It's really neat. And obviously this one's for a good cause. So yeah, Southwood doesn't advertise with us, but I'm saying if you're thinking about this is a really good cause and it's good for Corner Pocket, and so it's good for everyone.
Do a double date, everybody. Team of 4, $300. You get to golf. There'll be a raffle, prizes. Like, why not? I mean, that's a pretty good double date in this day and age. So yeah, check it out. Friday, June 24th. That's this Friday over at Southwood, 6 to 8 p.m. Again, that's Chad 21s at gmail.com. He'll get you squared away. Corey, how are you doing otherwise? How's it working for Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source?
It's great, man. Each day is better than the last.
That's all
yeah, man. Yeah, it's you. Why do you ask? You doing all right?
Oh, I know. I was just going to pivot to the Renegade Express. Who knows? We might even drop something in between the intro and the Renegade Express. Who knows where this will find its way into the show? We got lots going on. It's busy times in the Seminole land. A lot of recruiting going on Wednesday. Ira Schofel chipping in, man. Ira knocked out like 4 interviews with football, basketball folk, and then comes out, helps out at recruiting. I'm out there grinding. Langston's out there grinding. Austin Cox behind the scenes making things happen. It's great, man. It's the summer of content, as I like to call it. It's the summer of content. Big Man Camp wrap-up stuff. Check that out over at warchant.com. Also check out Ira's his report card on the transfer portal and where Florida State sits right now with pretty much everything all said and done with what they've done in the transfer portal after picking up Jason Turntine the other day, the 6'7" offensive lineman who started 10 games at South Carolina. Your thoughts on that, Corey? I don't know if we got your 2 cents on that. 6'7", 340, 2 seasons at South Carolina. Before that, he was at a JUCO. 10 games left tackle. He started over 2 years. Now he comes to Florida State and Tallahassee. Thoughts?
Yeah, man. Again, you're losing offensive linemen that aren't very good. If they, especially the ones you lost last year. Again, DLT was good pretty good when he was healthy, but he just wasn't. And you're replacing them, I think, with better players, man. You're adding more depth to this roster where it needs it the most. I mean, a guy that started 10 games in the SEC can't be terrible. You wouldn't think. He's certainly proven. I mean, he started. He's certainly proven he can play at this level. Again, when you think about the days of 3 years ago and 4 years ago, and what that offensive line looked like, and it was an absolute train wreck. It was just a bloody mess. And now it's it's got some capable dudes. It's got some real life Division I, high Division I college football players. That's good, man. It's a nice step. So yeah, any bodies you can get to throw at the O-line, especially ones that have starting experience in the SEC, go ahead and take it.
All right, well said. People that have seen him on campus, somebody was joking like, "Hey man, you guys are gonna have to go back and do your top 40 over again with that kid being here." And I was like, let's chill out. And they were joking, but they're like, I don't know how he's going to play, but he looks the part. So
yeah.
At least we got that. And who knows? Left tackle did not work out for him very well, according to Pro Football Focus. Maybe right tackle would be okay. We got Robert Scott left tackle. We don't need you to play left tackle. We need you to play right tackle. Maybe it'll open up a whole new world to him. So, anywho. All right, a little bit of a disjointed podcast, but hopefully you guys won't be able to tell. Only us revealing it now will maybe make stuff seem a little bit weird, but we try to put the show off as long as we could because maybe there was a chance Florida State might introduce their next head baseball coach sometime Wednesday evening, Corey, but that was not the case. We went ahead through the mailbag and we skipped over the questions that dealt with asking about Link Jarrett because we're like, maybe we'll come back and do a live show breaking the news, but that did not happen. So I'm just going to drop all their names. Noel Holla was asking, what's your opinions? If the new baseball coach, if Link stays at Notre Dame. Random_John, as writing this, FSU has not hired a baseball coach. If they still haven't by the time you read this, why do you believe they are waiting? If they have hired someone by this time, may the team be motivated to pick up and also hit the ball this coming season. Okay, he was making fun. Our guy Daryl, you remember Daryl, right, Corey?
I do. Yep.
Yeah.
Thomasville, North Carolina.
No, that's right. That's right, man. He just says, I know there are some big names out there, but FSU needs to hit a home run. Who would be one you would go after if Link were to say no? So a lot of people asking about Link. D. Dukes, 1986. I don't remember seeing this person ever. They've been a member since 2018. They've only posted 9 times. When are we announcing Link Jarrett? Hopefully later today. Maybe Friday. But who really knows?
Yeah, and I look, so obviously we're not breaking any news to tell you that Link Jarrett is Florida State's first, second, and third choice. He is a Florida State grad. He is a Tallahassee native. He grew up a huge Florida State fan, and he started at shortstop for this program for 4 years. Oh, yeah, and he apparently is a great head baseball coach. And Florida State has an opening. So we all understand that that's what Florida State wants. But his season just ended on Tuesday. So, would it look great optically to take a job the next day after your team loses? I don't know. And I'm not saying that's what the deal was. I can answer that first question.
It's
I don't know.
in. I think it's factoring in, don't you?
Yeah, it wouldn't look great. But if you took a job the very next day your team is eliminated. So you put a little window in there to make it look like, I really had some thinking to do. But, look, that's their first choice. And the way we'll know that Link Jarrett is not going to be the next head coach at Florida State is when Notre Dame announces a new contract with him. That's the only way you would know. If that does not happen on Thursday, later today, I should say, then feel pretty good. You know what I mean? Like there's Florida State, the reason Florida State Meade has been not the head coach now for 2 weekends, right? It's been 14 days.
Yeah.
Since he's been fired, essentially.
That maneuver, as Link called in his postgame, when they made that maneuver down in Tallahassee.
Yeah, he called it that maneuver they did. So with them not having a name after 14 days, we all know who they're waiting on. Now, does it get done? For sure. We'll see. Hopefully today. But one way or the other, we would see hopefully today. But yes, that's clearly who they're going for. And I don't know who they would go for if Link says no. I would if I was a friend of Link Jarrett and he was really contemplating, man, should I stay at Notre Dame or go to Florida State? I would slap him in the face and say, what is the matter with you, man? What else? What other red carpet do you need to go back home? The place you love, the place you grew up, the place you start at as a starting shortstop, and try to bring them back to glory. It's there for you. But you're going to stay at Notre Dame so you can coach in 12 degrees in front of 200 people?
They had their chance, Corey. They had their chance, and they said no the first time.
Yeah, I don't think Link thinks like that, and you would hope he wouldn't think like that.
I'm with you.
And again, like I said last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, it made sense. Like the head coach at UNC Greensboro that went to like 1 or 2 NCAA tournaments, that's not the resume that this Link Jarrett has.
Yep.
This Link Jarrett is a no-doubter, like an obvious choice. The one 3 years ago wasn't, especially when you had a guy with the last name Martin who had been a longtime assistant wanting the job as well. But this is a no-doubter. You know who Florida State wants, and you know who Florida State is trying their darndest to get. And it's just a matter of, maybe taking a day, maybe getting back to Indiana, talking with his team, whatever's left of it, because half of them are 30 years old. But whoever's left on that team, to tell them, hey, man, I'm going somewhere else. But if that doesn't happen, if, say, Link decides really, really dumbly, is dumbly a word? Is that an adverb? Dumbly? To stay at Notre Dame so they can go back to the College World Series every 20 years. Again, I say you make a run at Virginia Tech, and then that's
his name is Chef, by the way. I think it's pronounced. Shout out to Gator Kirk. He sent me the pronouncer on it.
It's Chef.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's almost better than Link.
That's CZ something, but it's pronounced Chef.
No, it's like SZ.
SC. I'm sorry.
It's like SCEZK or something. But Chef, man, what a great name that is. Like, do you smell what the chef is cooking? And you can play South Park stuff from that chef. Like, that's better than Link. Like, now I'm kind of hoping Link turns it down just so we get Chef. But Florida State will not be lacking for candidates if Link says no. But obviously the reason it's been 2 weeks now and still no answer is because Link's team was in Omaha and he couldn't accept the job then. I don't even know if he looked at the offer. Like, I would hope he did, but he might not have. He might have been solely focused on that team and that goal, but now that season is over, you wouldn't think it would last very much longer because it can't. Your recruiting has to be done. The transfer portal's still out there. Yeah. Assistants have to be hired. All that stuff has to be done. I would be very surprised if this lasted until like the middle of next week. That would be very, very surprising to me.
I think it happens Friday. If anything, maybe this, Ole Miss and Arkansas going to a winner to the championship series game. If Ole Miss would have taken care of business on Wednesday, there would have been no baseball on Thursday, no baseball on Friday, and then maybe that gives you some sort of runway to announce this. Because I don't think they would want to do it in the middle of a game. I don't think they'd want to break it at 6 o'clock in the evening when there's a game going on. There's going to be a game going on Thursday, later today at 4 p.m. It'll be Ole Miss, Arkansas. But there's no game scheduled at all for Friday or Saturday. I'm sorry, for Friday. They start the championship on Saturday. There is no game on Friday. I think they probably announce it then because you don't want to take any sort – not that, Florida State it's a power program. It's a blue blood. It's all that sort of stuff. So you don't want to, we do appreciate baseball. We don't want to take any sort of thunder. Not that we would just shake everything to the core, but I think it just kind of works out well to do it on a Friday. Gives Link a few more days to, make it look a little more palatable too, because I'm sure he appreciates what Notre Dame did for him, man. I'm sure he appreciates that salary he's got this year. I mean, I don't know if his salary was $1 million, but I'm telling you, I bet you making it to Omaha, he got some sort of performance bonus that put his contract, his pay for this year at 7 figures. So, I'm not calling it, but I think if I was
the president, do they have a president at Notre Dame? What do they call him? A chancellor, probably?
Probably, yeah.
Whoever's in charge of Notre Dame, if I was in charge of Notre Dame and my AD paid $1 million to a baseball coach who draws 300 people to the games, I would fire my AD.
Oh, stop it, Corey.
That's craziness. That is just a complete wanton waste of money. They do not earn – I wonder what they brought in, like ticket sales for the year. $80,000, $100,000, like they just, it would be so cost inefficient that I would fire the guy. But yeah, hey man, it was the best team they've ever had. Probably, I think we can say that. Yeah. They not only remember in 2020, which was his first year, they went in 2019, the last year of the last guy. I don't know who it was because it's college baseball, gang. I think they went like 23-30. Notre Dame was 23-30. Yeah. The very next year, Link starts out, they're 11-2. Yeah. Last year, I didn't remember this in 2021, so his first full year after COVID, they won the ACC by 4 games. They won 20. They won 25 conference games, and the next closest team had 21 wins. And then they got to the Super Regional where they lost to Mississippi State in Game 3.
The eventual
and Mississippi State went on to win the national championship. Yeah. And it was the first regional Notre Dame had hosted since 2004. So again, folks, when you're wondering, like, again, why would a guy leave Notre Dame for Florida State, even with all that history with the school? Notre Dame hadn't hosted a regional in 17 years until that happened. Florida State hosts them every 2 or 3. So, and he knows it. Like, again, this isn't a guy that's like thinking, man, I wonder what Florida State could be like if it's really good. He lived it. He was the shortstop on some awesome. He played in Omaha 3 times out of 4 years when he was at Florida State. So if there's nobody that appreciates what Florida State can be like Link Jarrett, right? Like he did it. He was a starting shortstop for 4 straight years. So again, if this doesn't happen now, I mean, I would slap the guy in the face if I was a friend. Are you crazy? Yeah, Notre Dame might pay you a little more money. Do you want to live in South Bend? Do you want to keep doing this? Like, that's why you put in all that time in Greensboro. And you put in that time in South Bend so you could come to Tallahassee and go get yourself a national championship. Because at Florida State, you don't need guys that are 24-year-olds, a whole lineup of 24-year-olds to compete for a national championship. So, but when you think about what the dude did in 11-2, then last year, 2021, what he did, getting 1 game from Omaha, hosting a regional for the first time in 17 years, and then this year going and beating Darth Vader in Knoxville. Man, that's awesome. That is just an awesome 3 years. It's as good a 3-year run as you could ever have. And what would be the reason for doing that? What would be the benefit of doing that if you don't then jump at the chance to go coach at your alma mater, who happens to be a baseball power? So maybe I'm trying to speak it into existence.
You are. You certainly are.
It would just be crazy if he said no to stay at Notre Dame.
Yeah. Again, no one's talking about Southern Cal, but I haven't heard any sort of smoke or anything about that. So I feel like we're probably the only other option for him. But, yeah, it would just be crazy to be like, all right, this is open. Everything's lined up. Actually, no. Never mind. I'm good. I'm going to stay here.
I know it worked out perfectly. My whole team is leaving. Notre Dame's happy that I took him but I'll just stay here and just kind of toil in obscurity for the rest of my career. That would be nutty to me. But, hey, man, crazier things have happened. The point is, even if Link says no somehow, some way, for some reason, Florida State will have plenty of suitors that they can go for.
By the way, the great Mike Ioki, former head coach at Notre Dame before Link took over. He's now at Morehead State.
How did I forget that? Where is he now?
Morehead State, Ohio Valley Conference.
He went from Notre Dame to Morehead State.
They gotta go.
Link, are you looking? Are you seeing what happens? That guy probably won some games in his career, too. He's at Morehead State now, man. So that's, you got a chance at Florida State. You got a chance at the brass ring in your hometown. And imagine how sweet it would be to bring, finally, a national championship home to Tallahassee.
Yeah,
a native son.
His name's Lincoln, by the way. I thought like his name was really just Link, but it turned out his name's Lincoln. That's strong. It's a strong
Which
name.
is crazy, though, because how do they spell Lincoln?
Right, yeah, with a C, yeah.
But he spelled Link with a K.
I know.
That shouldn't be allowed.
Maybe his middle name is Kenneth or something. Maybe there's something there with a K in the middle.
Oh, man, it's because that's how you spell Link. But if you're going to go by Link, you have to go by Linc, right? If that's your name, if it's an abbreviation of your name.
Whatever he wants.
Anyway, I'm the grammar police.
Whatever
I'm just
brings
saying,
him back home. Whatever brings him back home.
Well, right, yeah. Well, yeah, Florida State should not be a sticking point. Is Alford's like, look, if you come here, you're Linc. We're tired of this Link crap with the K because that doesn't make sense. You're not Lincoln with a K, but that probably won't happen.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not him, I don't know. I mentioned Butch Thompson. That was just kind of like a throw at the wall sort of thing. I mean, the coach at Auburn, but he's already making 7 figures, and that'd be a tough sell. Matt Hobbs, the pitching coach at Arkansas, is a guy that would always get a lot of sort of momentum, like the last 2 years about him possibly, because he was at Wake Forest before this and developed some dudes there and is now doing quite well at Arkansas. I really don't want to see Arkansas win it all, though. Like, I just don't. That's one program I don't want to see.
You'd rather Oklahoma win it?
Yeah. Well, also anybody that's not the SEC. But mainly just Dave Van Horn, just kind of a bristly, just not a very warm and fuzzy human being. It's like if Mike Martin can't win one, then golly, baseball gods, you can't let Dave Van Horn win one. Just wouldn't be right.
Okay, all right. They let Kevin O'Sullivan win one.
That's true. Yeah. Gosh, he's scary.
Throwing that out there.
Think about it. He's a bouncer. He's a big human being.
Yeah.
I really don't know anybody else to throw out there. But again, I would imagine that there's been channels open between both Link, his agent,
Right.
and probably Florida State. It's a matter of getting the timing right. Because again, it would look bizarre if they would have done it Wednesday, the day after. And just last thing, Corey, his comments, I don't know, maybe I kept listening to it too much. Maybe it's me trying to speak it into existence. But the more I listened to his comments after the loss on Tuesday when he was asked about it, which, by the way, apparently a couple dozen people on the message board thought it was classless to ask him about his future after losing, which I don't even know what to say to you folks. What? Like, he's not going to get asked that question? It's the most pressing question in the world of college baseball right now.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I would say to those people. If there was a guaranteed press conference the next day where Link would address the media again, then yes, I understand you're saying, look, his team just lost. He's heartbroken. The season is over. It seems in poor taste to ask him about his future when he just had this season end, which is fine. But that's the last availability he's going to have, maybe ever at Notre Dame. Right? I mean, literally, it might be ever at Notre Dame. Yeah. So, and I take myself back to Jimbo after the Florida game. If we knew for sure that Jimbo was going to be available on that Sunday or that Monday, maybe we just ask about James Blackman and who was the linebacker that had Matthew Thomas had the almost touchdown or the touchdown? And
Levante had a pick six, I think. I think Nooney had a good game. Well, that's a good
Maybe
guy.
we just ask about the game.
Yeah,
but
talk about
that's
that.
not how life works because they're only available for a short amount of time. So he's available right then. So if you don't ask that question, and of course, there's no way he's going to be on the podium saying, you know what, Steven, this has been awesome coaching you, but guys in Tallahassee, I can't wait to see you. Tommy Tanks, I know you're in the portal. I'm coming to get you. Whatever. That would be more classless. But obviously, he's not going to say I'm going to Florida State in that press conference. But you do have to ask the question about if he's given himself a thought for the future. And it was Notre Dame people asking because they know. They know that his name is out there. They know it would make perfect sense. But, again, you can't give them it's not like the next day you can ask him, Link, what are you thinking about Florida State now that you've had time to digest this? This is the only time you get him. And I guess you could text them, but, this is his availability. So you take your shot when you get it. And obviously, he's probably not going to say I'm going to Florida State, but he can say a lot by not saying one way or the other.
He said they a lot, didn't say we a lot. And then he also, and Ira pointed this out to me when we were doing some recruiting stuff on Wednesday, but he mentioned, he was asked, how hard was it to focus on the task at hand kind of thing with all this. He's like, yeah, every single day getting questions about it. It was so hard to remove myself from it. I was like, was it? But if you don't want the job, it wouldn't be hard though, right?
You could just say, no, I'm not interested. I love Notre Dame.
Yeah. So, I don't know, the more I went back and listened to it, I'm just like, yeah, man, he's saying all the right stuff to not get anybody upset. To show respect to Notre Dame and those players after that sort of tough situation of losing that game. So I feel good about it. I don't know if it happens today on Thursday, but I would be very surprised if actually, I'm going to take that back. I would bet on Friday before I would bet on next week. That's all I'll say. Not that I have inside information, just the optics of it all. Corey.
And maybe it's telling that he used they a few times instead of we. I do remember as a Braves fan, the Braves traded Dave Justice after the World Series win where he hit the only home run. He hit the home run in the game-clinching win in 95. After the 96 season, they traded him to the Indians for Kenny Lofton. And I remember Kenny Lofton, who had an awesome season with the Braves, but at the All-Star game, and he was a free agent. He was going to be a free agent after that year. Somebody asked him about the season his team was having, and he's like, yeah, man, the Braves are pretty good. I think the Braves are going to – it's like he's not even saying we in the midst of being – he's calling them the Braves. He's not saying they, he's saying the Braves. Like the Braves have a good future or something. It's like, what a weird thing to say. And, of course, Kenny Lofton left after that year. So that was pretty telling.
Oh, man. All right, there we go. So that catches you up on what we know, what we think about the – baseball vacancy and Link Jarrett. And with that said, we now go back to previously recorded content, the Renegade Express.
Yo, you hear that? That's the sound of the hottest new club, the Zaxby's Signature Club Sandwich. It's everything you love about our original sandwich, but, clubbier. Hand-breaded chicken, bacon, and cheese, and your choice of Zax sauce or spicy Zax sauce. Try one today with fries and a drink. Only at Zaxby's. Can we turn it down now?
And don't forget to listen in for the Zaxby's indescribably good Player of the Week every Monday on Wake Up Warchant.
I did post in the thread about what people thought about the top 40, what they thought about the baseball search, and about Brooks Koepka going to live. And we start off with our guy, Mark, down in Naples. Wake up! I love the top 40, the material, and how different the rankings are from all you different staff members. Fascinating stuff. The bottom line is we're going to need a lot of impact players to get our 8+ wins. I'm predicting Corey has Micah Pittman as number 1 to express his understandable, he puts parenthetically, fury with punt returns.
It's a good point. I'll go ahead and, I'm not going to even.
Don't
yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. No
spoilers.
spoilers.
Yeah, we're not even going to break down 21 through 30 for you folks.
Yeah.
But that was on yesterday's show, by the way. Yeah, I pulled out the thing that we did with Ira and Gene, Corey. So everything we said on that was a podcast, which some people, by the way, shout out Kirk Knowles, like, hey, man, I saw you guys publish the podcast, but I didn't see it on YouTube. What's the deal? I was like, well, it was just everything in the podcast was what we had already talked about on YouTube. So I didn't want to, be redundant and irk people. So that's that explanation. Anyhow, continuing on. Shout out to Mark. I've really wanted to know about this because I thought being a PGA golfer was a pretty good gig. I didn't know anybody was complaining about things not being cool being a PGA golfer. It seems like all the purses are going up every single year. It's all these sponsorships. Why would you want to leave? And he helps give us some clarity. Since Mark, played a lot of competitive golf, albeit never pro, I'll weigh in on the Koepka thing, which, by the way, again, Brooks Koepka, Florida State alum, four-time major winner.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Has defected to the Live Golf Tour, which is run by the Saudi Investment Fund. My best friend's brother played on the PGA Tour for 25 years. He won 3 times and still's got some golf left in him. I talked to my buddy yesterday about this. Here's why Live will continue to gain traction and why I don't blame any player for giving it a shot. On the PGA Tour, you have to pay an entry fee to play. I never knew that. You don't have a great week. You miss the cut. The tour says, hey, thanks for showing up, but no paycheck for you this week. I did know that. You also have significant travel expenses. You still have to pay your caddy. Meanwhile, the tour still makes millions of dollars on ticket sales, merchandise, concessions, corporate sponsorships, and television deals. With Live, it's guaranteed and lucrative money to play. I believe Charles Schwartzel collected $4.5 million for winning the inaugural event, and he had not won anything since the 2011 Masters. It's life-changing money. Guys like Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka are getting massive deals in the millions just to play. I mean, like 9 figures, I think. I think DJ got $100 million to go to the Live Tour. Just like, come over here. We'll give you $100 million. Brooks has got to get close to that, I would think. I don't want to get into the politics of this because it's a whole different story. I just wanted to explain the perspective from a tour veteran. The PGA Tour is awesome, but its model may be outdated. They need to figure out a solution. It's not all that different from NIL in college football. Programs that figure out NIL are going to get the best players. Traditional powers like FSU won't likely get the elite recruits just because of our logo and tradition. Caveat, winning more will certainly help. It is what it is. I personally don't blame Brooks Koepka. Go make money for your kids and grandkids while it's there. The PGA Tour would be crazy to revoke memberships. They are better off coming up with a competitive solution. Interested on your take, and as always, go Noles.
I think that the PGA Tour has come out and basically said, they're changing the way they do things. They're going to have some non-cut events where it's a top 50 that are invited and you're guaranteed money. So obviously Live is already
changing the game.
Is already changing the game, which is probably for the good for those golfers because there is an expense that comes with trying to be a professional golfer. And if you don't make the cut, you're out. Sometimes you make the cut, and I'm going to say only here in quotes, but you make, $30,000 if you finish in 60th place, which barely covers the things you have to pay for, including the caddy. Then again, I can't imagine. I've seen the Instagram pictures that Brooks Koepka's life is. I've seen them, and Dustin Johnson's. Let's not talk about him putting food on the table for his family. He's well taken care of. The difference with Koepka is he earned it with being really, really good at golf and winning a lot of money. But I've seen him on the yachts. And I've seen his house. Like, he's doing awesome. And, again, when you're a Koepka or a Dustin Johnson, your sponsorship money is through the roof.
Yeah.
So it does become like, yeah, man, I get it. And I'm not going to sit here and say if Saudi Arabia had a war chant and they offered me $150 million, I wouldn't think twice about doing it. I would not do it because I'd have to fly to get over there. Just taking the politics completely out of it. But I understand these are guys that are the golfers, especially pro golfers, are trained their entire lives to chase the money. Where are you on the money list? How much money did you get? You have to be in the top certain money just to get top 125 in the money list just to get on the tour for the next year. So it's always been about the money when it comes to PGA golf. And I can see why you would be like, yeah, this is guaranteed. I can play like crap and still get my guaranteed money of whatever, $2 million for showing up to this thing. So, it is what it is. I know Rory came out on Wednesday and ripped him. Colin Morikawa came out and ripped him, or basically said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm devoted to the PGA Tour. I would have liked Brooks Koepka to do that. Frankly, though, if there's one person on the tour that cares less about the PGA Tour than Brooks Koepka, I don't know who that is. I'm surprised it took him this long.
Come on.
No, all he's ever done is talked about how the tournaments are meaningless except for the majors.
Right.
Like, he doesn't care if he wins those PGA, like the Charles Schwab Open. Right. He's publicly said that. That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, he doesn't care how he plays in those other events. He just shows up to practice for the majors. He's said that multiple times. So that's why I'm saying, like, it's never really mattered to him. Maybe the players matters to him. But all the other non-major tournaments have never really mattered to him. And he's right in the sense that nobody remembers the Charles Schwab Open winner or the Buick Open winner. It only matters about the majors. And if you're guaranteed to get a spot in the major anyway, whether you go to this live tour or not, then I can understand why they would want to do it. I was disappointed because I'm not watching any live golf events. But
it's not even televised. It's only on YouTube.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. I'm not watching any of that. But if you got other people want to, sure, fine. I mean, the thing is, Koepka doesn't care about anything about the majors anyway. So he doesn't care if he finishes first at a live event or 100th. He just wants the money, which, he's got earning power. So I guess go for it. And his brother's on that tour already anyway.
Yeah. Smart move. I just wonder what the end game of the Live Golf Tour is. I mean, they're not making any money off television, right? So they have all this money to blow through. It's all right. You go ahead and you conquer the PGA Tour, and then what? Like, what is this? Helps create a better PR front for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? And it's crazy. It's crazy. But I'm not all that passionate about golf, at least professional golf. I'll put it on when the majors are on. If Tiger's in contention anywhere, I'll put it on. But otherwise, I love playing golf. But,
what bothers me is I haven't looked at the tour schedule, but how many of those events are in America?
Yeah, it's the thing. They call it the Saudi Tour, but it's like none of them are in Saudi Arabia. I mean, the first one was in England, and they're in America. I think they're in Oregon, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, how many, though? Is it 10 of them? Is it 15 of them? Is it 25 of them? I don't know. I guess I could look that up so I could speak a little more intelligently on it, but I feel like you're robbing golf fans of some of the best players in the world. Like, if there is a golf event in Atlanta somewhere, it'd be cool to go watch Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka play.
But there we go. Portland, June 30th. It starts. They'll be in Jersey July 29th, Boston September 2nd, Chicago September 16th, Bangkok October 7th, Jeddah, which is, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is actually in Saudi Arabia, October 14th. Then they'll be in Miami to end it out. So
5.
Yeah.
5 as opposed to 30.
Yeah.
There's 5.
Yeah.
But hey, man, it's not what the fans want, right? It's about that cash.
Eskimo Randy. Hey, by now it's pretty clear Mike Norvell's not going to take a transfer quarterback. So with the really inexperienced, did you have something to say, Corey?
No. I mean, that is correct. That has been proven.
So with the really inexperienced depth at the position, remember when we used to do these in person, Corey, and I could look at you and I would know what you were doing and thinking, kind of? Remember those days?
What were we thinking about? Yeah, I do. What were we thinking back then, Aslan? We could have been in our own living rooms that whole time.
I know. It's crazy. All right. By now it's pretty clear Mike Norvell not taking another transfer quarterback. So with the really inexperienced depth at the position, it seems like Norvell may be risking his entire career on the hope of an oft-injured quarterback not getting hurt. If worst-case scenario happens and Jordan Travis is knocked out early in the year, how will that change your expectations of the season? Would you give Norvell a pass because you can't plan for injuries, or should he have a legit backup? Oh, good question.
That's a really good question, and you're absolutely right. He has kind of tethered his career to a guy that has a hard time staying healthy. And even when he's healthy, we don't know how good he can be. I think he can win you football games, but he's not Johnny Manziel or Bryce Young. So yeah, that's a fair question. It's a good question, and absolutely not. I don't give him a pass. If Jordan Travis gets hurt, it's bad luck, but it's not like if EJ had gotten hurt in 2012 and missed 9 weeks or was out for the year. That's horrible luck. Now again, they probably would have gone with a guy named Jameis, and who knows how that would have gone. But EJ didn't really have a long history of being injured.
Right.
So that's just bad luck. This won't necessarily be bad luck. It's almost expected that at some point this season, Jordan Travis is going to be banged up, not going to be able to play like he normally would play, or not be able to play at all. And if Tate Rodemaker isn't the guy that he looked in the spring, if he kind of regresses, or maybe that was fool's gold, I don't know. If he hasn't in fact taken that next step, then yeah, that's the bed that Mike Norvell made. He's going to have to go to a guy that's in his only action in college football, that matters, that counts with the scoreboard working, has been not good. And that's who his main backup is right now, or a true freshman. So, that's college football. No teams are really going to shine if their starter gets hurt. But with Florida State, when you have a losing record through your first 2 seasons, and now you've got a guy that's about to start his 3rd year, and then he gets banged up or out for the year, and Rodemaker isn't it, and the offense struggles again, yeah, I don't think you get a pass for that. You have to make plans for that. That's part of coaching, is precautionary stuff. And I don't know what he could have done, honestly, other than, like I said, go and get somebody from a lower division that wants a chance to play at a big football school like Florida State. But other than that, it was going to be a hard sell to get one of these transfers to come when they didn't know for sure they would get the starting job.
I wonder where that is on his list of anxieties. Can I just have him good for 12 games, 12 weeks? Or is there other things that are more pressing? Because it is crazy. Listen, I don't know how many guys go into a season thinking, all right, we need to have a backup at quarterback, a backup plan. But again, to your point, this is, it's been kind of proven to a certain degree that Jordan just his body really, feels the rigors of a college football season. He hasn't been able to make it through an entire one safely in one piece and made himself available. So, it's almost derelict of duty to a certain degree to put all your chips on a true freshman and then a kid who, in very limited action, has looked very overwhelmed, but did look a little bit better in spring, and that's Tate Rodemaker. But yeah, my expectations obviously will change because I don't have Tate Rodemaker on my top 40. So if you have a quarterback that's not even one of your 40 most impactful guys. And listen, man, I didn't think about the whole Jordan Travis if he's going to be out, and does this mean that Tate gets you 2 or 3 games, and obviously by virtue of that, he's going to be an impact guy. I just don't know if he's there yet. But I'm not going to give Mike Norvell a pass. There had to been somebody out there, man. There had to be a JUCO quarterback that might be 6'3", 220 that you could get something out of. I can't be like, well, there's nothing else that you could do. I admit it's a difficult situation to kind of have to work with Jordan and what you've put him through and being behind him and kind of working out the mental aspect of things and having him on your side, that you didn't want to ruin any kind of trust that you developed. But, man, you're paid $4 million a year to figure this stuff out. You could possibly be looking at, if they lose him week 4, good grief. Good grief. But, hey, I don't know. He made it through the season. He did to a certain degree, right?
Look, man, he did. But he also missed half of Wake Forest. He missed all of NC State. He missed the most crucial part, in my opinion, of the Florida game.
But he also, again, not to interrupt, sorry, man, but apparently he wasn't ready to go for the Jacksonville State game, even though they put him in there for that one series. So.
Well, no, they had him at running back for one of them. He played running back in that game. And I think they ran a toss sweep with him or some nonsense in that game. So it wasn't like he was completely – but the Syracuse game is the one where they're like, man, you've got to play. And I think that was he was the one, that was the one where he wasn't practicing much, and then he finally came out and just from that point on, he played the rest of the way until the Florida game. I think I think that's how that worked. Oh, maybe he missed the NC State game with an illness, not an injury, but an illness.
Everyone had the flu, yeah.
But yeah, what I was going to say about that too, though, is Rodemaker's allowed to get better. Like that's part of coaching too. Like get that backup ready to play. That's part of your job. This is his 3rd year. If he's not ready to play now, if something happens, his 3rd year in your system, then either it was a poor evaluation from the beginning, from the get-go, or it's poor development. So get Rodemaker ready to play, and maybe he has no anxiety. Maybe he truly believes that that Rodemaker can get the job done. I mean, look, man, Rodemaker was good in spring camp. He just was. So hopefully he can carry that on. And hopefully he gets, and I know you're going to laugh at this, he gets a lot of valuable reps against Duquesne.
Yeah.
Because that can, just having confidence. I know LSU
He needs to do something in a game. He needs to do something in a game.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. He needs a couple of really good drives in a game where people are in the stands and they actually keep stats. And I just think that would do worlds for his confidence. By the way, at 5 minutes after we had our talk about Koepka, they come on and ESPN just announces that the PGA Tour is making those changes.
Ratified.
What's funny to me is, are they allowed back on the tour? Like, can Koepka and Dustin Johnson come back?
Oh, so they're not going to revoke it, or did they say?
I don't know. I think they did revoke him, but would you tell Brooks Koepka he's not allowed to come back? Like if Liv folds, because those are the only 8 or 9 that go over, and nobody watches it, and nobody goes, will Liv fold, and then will Koepka and Dustin Johnson just not be able to play on anything but the majors?
Well, but I don't think they care, though. They'll have so much money, they'll be like, all right, whatever, I'll just play 4.
I mean, they're competitors, right?
They got good-looking
lives. Go compete,
good
I would think. I know they do. That'll be something really interesting to watch in a year or two if Liv actually folds.
Yeah, no, for sure. Island Chief, wake up! He puts in italics. I feel like I should do that. Hope all is well with you guys. Summertime, am I right? Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Wednesday was intense. Bobby Bowden used to say, as well as others, that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you actually have none. Wally Jim Jordan being the exception. Touche.
Yep.
So, with all these offensive linemen, what do we have? Do we go into the season with 7 or 8 guys we can rely on? I think we're trying to make a parallel there, that if we don't have 5 actual dudes that we can rely on, we don't have like an offensive line. I think 7 sounds about right. 8? Sure. I mean, that Turnitin kid, his PFF grades are putrid. I mean, just to be honest, I haven't watched him play any football. I watched his tape from his junior college years, which was 3 years ago, and that didn't look all that great either. But, I mean, he played 10 games in 2 seasons. This last one, he started 7 games, and South Carolina was actually okay.
Yeah.
So, again, man, maybe something happens with him at right tackle. Feel good about him. Bless Harris is obviously going to be in the mix. You got Maurice and Caden Lyles at center, Dylan Gibbons at 1 guard spot, Dimitri Emanuel probably at your other guard spot, like Robert Scott at left tackle, and then Darius Washington's another kind of swing guy. So however many guys that just was, that's what you've got to roll with. And I saw Bryson Estes at the big man camp. Bryson Estes looks very well put together. They like Thomas Schrader. Those guys could emerge over the course of 20 or so practices in the preseason as well, and then a week of Duquesne and a week of LSU too. So, man, they should be fine there. Now, what you want to define fine as being, I think they will be at worst a average offensive line in the Power 5, and I think their ceiling is an above average one. I think they'll hit it too. I feel totally fine about offensive line. What do we have though, Corey? What do you think? Can we rely on 7 or 8 guys?
Yeah, that's what I think you have is depth. You have a guy now that you might have multiple guys that have started in Power 5 conferences that won't play for you, whether they've started at Florida State or other schools that will be backups. Think about the backups that they've had to roll in there the last 3 or 4 years. It's just been abhorrent. Now you've got 8 guys that have started multiple games, like at least 10 at the offensive line position. Now, one was at Charlotte, but he was an all-conference guy at Charlotte. One was at Wisconsin. One was at where's Bless Harris from? Where'd he go? Lamar. Yeah. But they've started. They played. They have experience. They're older. Like, all of that to me matters. You're not rolling out freshmen. You're not rolling out redshirt or true freshmen like you've seemingly had to do every year for the past 40. You're rolling out guys that have played a lot of football. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're more experienced. No, they're not loaded with future offensive linemen, at least not, future NFL linemen, at least not in this, with the older guys. Who knows how good these younger guys might end up being. But the older guys, I don't think we're looking at them and saying, yeah, that's 5 across the front that are going to be playing on Sundays. But they can play on Saturdays, and that's the most important thing for this football team right now. They should not be humiliated and embarrassed and just pushed everywhere on the football field.
But they haven't been that since like 18, though. I mean, that was an ugly, horrible season. But they've been okay. Last year they were okay. They're okay.
19. That Miami game was a disaster.
Correct.
It didn't help that they started Hornswoggle, but that was a disaster. 19, and then 20. I mean, they had games where Jordan was running for his life, and then obviously 2021. I think they were much better. But when they had to pass against Florida, when they had to pass against Clemson, not great.
Yeah, but they got Micah Pittman out wide now. They got Johnny Wilson.
So again, it's such a better roster, man. It's filled with legitimate football players, and I'm not going to name the guys from 2 or 3 years ago. You know who they are, but there were plenty of guys playing offensive line for Florida State that didn't belong at a football school like this. They just didn't. I don't think you have a lot of guys right now, at least in the starting 5, in that swing, let's say the 7 or 8, the rotation, that you would say I don't think you have any that you would say absolutely don't belong at a place like Florida State. What are they doing in the ACC? Yeah. These are all ACC caliber, at least, offensive linemen, in my opinion. And I know that's a low bar, but it's a bar they haven't cleared in a good while.
Yeah, it's our schedule. I won't make apologies for it. I know you said they don't have to play on Sundays, but they do, and they got to play on Friday
good
too.
Point.
So
good point. Yeah, they play on a Sunday against LSU, one of the biggest games of the year. Yeah. My bad, guys. That's right. I forget.
Ratchet it up, though, gentlemen, because, Fridays as well. All right, let's go to JT Knowles, 2K2. Hey, Aslan and Corey, wake up. I'm sorry if the question about legacies was too similar to my question about best FSU families. Anyways, which FSU athlete, and you're fine, by the way, JT Knowles, don't apologize. Anyways, what Florida State athlete that left school early do you wish you could have seen play for one more year? I'd probably say it's between Jameis, Dalvin, Scotty, Asante, Jonathan Isaac, and Matt Nelson. What do you guys think? Thanks for answering my question. Support the players with merchandise and YouTube accounts, along with the fine articles and podcasts from Warchant. Also, do go see Top Gun Maverick. I hope Corey's surgery goes well. Go Noles.
Thank you. Do you have an answer? Because I have one. I would say Cromartie, just because that dude, I don't know if he ever started at Florida State. And he was going to play. He was going to return kicks like he had been doing. He was also going to play offense in 2005, right? Was that his? Yeah, that was his last year at Florida State, and he tore his ACL in August, and didn't get to play. I think it was August. Either way, he was out for the whole year. And that guy, literally, like you would talk about Dion. I think it's Dion, Jalen, Cromartie. I'm not counting Randy Moss because he never played in the game. I think those are probably the 3 best athletes that have ever played at Florida State. Cromartie was a freakazoid. Like 6'3" and could run like the wind and was good. And it would have been awesome to see him play defense and offense. I just don't feel like he ever got to reach his full potential because he didn't play a ton as a freshman. He didn't start as a sophomore but played a lot, and I think he had a couple touchdowns. And then as a junior, he was going to be the star of the team, and then he blew out his knee. It's not a great career in the NFL.
He did. Now I think he's at A&M, hanging out with Jimbo, I think.
Oh, all right.
Could be wrong. Could be wrong.
Jonathan Isaac's a good one, too.
Yeah, you think? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd have maybe thrown Kelvin in there before Dalvin. Just think if Jameis had one more guy to throw to in 14. Just one more guy.
Yeah, and I think the answer to something like that, to me, it goes down to like you left wanting a little bit. Like, oh man, he just didn't quite have the career. I just wanted to see how he was going to develop. Dalvin had 2 unbelievable seasons. Yeah. He maxed out at Florida State. He did enough. Jameis too. Kelvin's a good one because he had really about 7 or 8 great weeks. It would have been cool to see him one more year, but that's why I said Cromartie is because you felt wanting a little bit. Like, man, I would have loved to see that dude hit his prime, hit his ceiling while he was at Florida State instead of after.
All right, let's go to random_John. Good morning, Aslan and Corey. How are the 2 best hosts coast to coast doing today?
Crushing it, man. Crushing it. getting ready for a big trip to Chicago.
Yeah. Might have limited shows for you folks next week, but it's June. Come on, you'll be fine. I wish we had like a best of, but whatever. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna skip around.
I think you could put together a best of. You'd have to go listen to a lot of it, but you could go do that, right?
I was thinking it would just have to be like podcasts after games. I think that would be the best way to do a best of.
Oh, that would be a lot of misery.
I know, but like it would be funny just to hear us like after the Samford game in 2018. Like, were we making it like, oh, they'll be all right. They're tired.
Oh, so I don't want that. I don't want people doing that. I'd rather just like, funny segments we did or something.
All right. Skipping around here on his question. Let's go to the second part of it. There's a pattern to the questions I've been going in order on, everybody. Maybe you've picked up on it by now. Anyhow, what do you feel is the biggest threat to FSU having a successful football season this year? How bad would being a victim of this threat be to our season? What do you believe is the reasons, or singular, that threat was not properly addressed in order to limit its negative impact on our team this year? What is never a negative impact on your team or your life is subscribing to Warchant. Dare I say this site has improved our lives so much that we all make smiling Bob look unhappy. Mm-hmm. Go Noles. Well,
thank you. That was a random _ John. That was our man John.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. I think we've already talked about it, right?
Correct.
I think it's the health of the quarterback.
Yeah.
And we talked about why that wasn't addressed, and maybe it should have been, but why that wasn't addressed. I would say another thing that I wonder about, and it was addressed to an extent, was rushing the passer. They got I think the best guy on the board.
They did.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing. They went after it, and they met the need to. Maybe they didn't meet the need, but they got the best available for that actual shortcoming, if you will. I mean, meanwhile, quarterback, they just were like, all right, we're good here. And it's like, okay. Yeah. And we get, again, there's a reason that it wasn't, quote, unquote, properly addressed. But I don't think there's nobody else out there I can think of that comes to mind when it comes to defensive line, especially an edge guy rushing the passer that they didn't go after and they didn't get, So
yeah, it's so big. I think Burst is going to be good, but again, he's going to have some growing pains. He's never played this level of football. But those other two, what are McClendon and Briggs going to be like? That's a big deal for this football team. If those guys can combine to be Keir Thomas, Jared Verse isn't going to be Jermaine Johnson, not this year anyway, maybe not ever, likelihood never. But if those two guys can combine to give you Keir Thomas type numbers, and Verse is just, 7-8 sacks, a lot of quarterback pressures, maybe not All-American, but like a second-team All-Conference guy, you're going to be good. Uh-huh. You're going to have a good defense. Because I think the back seven is as good as it's been in a long while. And if that front four, and the middle is going to be good. If those edge guys can find a way to get to the passer consistently, then I think you're going to have a better than average to good college football defense, which you can win that way.
I know we like 15's defense in hindsight was very underappreciated, at least in my eyes. I didn't appreciate it very much, but maybe 16. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say, everybody.
Well, no, 16's was horrible.
Yeah.
15's was good, though.
It's been off my game today. I don't want – that's the one thing I'm really guarded against that. And I do like your optimism about having like an above average, like really good defense. It feels like foreign to me to a certain extent that I'm like, let's not get carried away. Let's just score some more points than we did and, let's just hold serve on defense, get better on offense. That's all I want. But, yeah, man, that would be really cool. That'd be really cool to know that, all right, you're up by 4 with a minute and a half to go. You're going to be all right. Like, we'll be all right, Or we put 28 points up in the first half. We're going to be okay. Like, there's no way they're going to be able to score 21 on us in a half and come back. That would be nice. That would be a nice thing to have. So, looking forward to that.
Yeah, all right. Let's hope it happens, buddy. Let's hope it happens.
All right, let's go to tennis ump, and then we'll do some life advice sort of stuff. Which, by the way, last time you got into a heated argument with somebody that wasn't your family or spouse, Corey. Bravest thing you've ever done. Best advice you've ever been given as well. So think about those.
The bravest thing I've ever done?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Tennis ump, meanwhile, wake up. After reading Ira's latest article, again, that's on warchant.com, check it out, regarding the incoming transfer portal guys, along with the ones who transferred out, it really shows just how far down we had gone with talent and how much needed to be weeded out. What is your impression of the job that Mike Norvell has done so far with flipping the roster, and what is the biggest need in your mind that we still need? Thanks as always for the great work that you both do. David, a.k.a. Tennis Hump.
I think you need, I like Jordan Travis. I think he's good enough to win. I think you need an elite quarterback. A lot of really good teams. There's a lot of teams in the ACC that have them. I don't necessarily think you do. I think you've got a good one, but there are going to be 3, 4, 5 games this year, Aslan, where he's the second best quarterback on the field.
Yeah,
that needs to be cut down to like one game, and then just dynamic dudes, man. Like I think they've gotten solid players. It went from a horrible roster to a decent roster, filled with a few NFL players, but not a lot of dynamic, game-changing type players that I can tell. Pittman maybe is one. Maybe Trey Benson's one. Johnny Wilson's one. Maybe Bethune is one. Gaynor turns into one. Who knows? But Verse, they're last year they had one, right? Jermaine Johnson.
Yes.
You need a few more, and he's gone. So you need to start adding bigger time talent to the roster. Not just talent, but bigger talent. NFL talent, first day talent, first 2 days talent. You just need more of that. Last year they had one dude that was drafted at all, and he was here for 9 months. You need those guys permeating your program, not just for 9 months, but for 4 years or 3 years. And you need them like flock to you. But yeah, that's what I'm waiting on.
Yeah. I mean, those guys were out there, but it was, they played for Lincoln Riley. They wanted to go to wherever he was going. So I mean, he took all the wide receivers from Oklahoma. He took that quarterback. Like those kind of guys, they got good guys in the transfer portal, but I don't think they got those level of players. And you really
but also
those.
Want you to recruit. You got to recruit those guys too. It's not just portalization. It's like go recruit. Go. Every time I'm looking up, Georgia or Clemson's getting another commitment from a 4 or 5 star guy. Ohio State got 2.
They got the best receiver in the state of Florida.
Yeah, and the best one in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So that's what I keep seeing these other schools do, and that's not really happening yet with Norvell. And I do think he's trying, heaven knows, but it's not the big time talent for this class in particular. Where is it, and when is it coming?
Yeah, I mean, they had that big man camp on Wednesday, and I think afterwards, all the outlets that were out there covering it, man, I think they might have gone up to 3 players and interviewed them. And I think only one was 2023.
Yeah.
And then you go to the 7-on-7 camp, and I'm out there at the 7-on-7 camp, and, Camden Fryer, Matt's son, was out there, legacy commitment for 24. His team lost in, like, the first round. So I get there, and, I'm asking Michael and Austin, I'm like, these are the teams that are left. I'm like, who are the targets? They're like, man, we don't know of anybody on those teams. And like, I guess part of it's building relationships and, showing high school coaches they're welcome on your campus. But they are trying. They are holding these big man camps, individual camps, 7-on-7 tournaments. But the amount of kids that are like ready to come to school 2023, and there's a lot of 24, 25 prospects, but it's like, I don't know, like you got to start getting guys in here now, man. I mean, they need to win now. Yeah, you can develop a great relationship with Jonah Winston, but man, like, are you going to be here when Jonah Winston's ready to come and play college football? It's 2026. That's a long ways away. That is a little bit. I do have some anxiety about that, but I guess you can only really do what you can, and they are kind of maximizing that.
Yeah, and again, you got to start winning. I mean, obviously, no matter what you're doing NIL wise, if you're only winning 4 or 5 games a year, it's going to be tough to get the big time guys. That's why this year is so pivotal for him.
Yeah, and then I mean, flipping the roster, it's impressive. I mean, they're one of the top 3 or 4 programs, I think, in terms of guys that have left the program. So he didn't really mess around. And again, when you look at what they've lost and what they've brought in, I mean, it's a net positive by far. So he's taken advantage of it as best as he probably could under these circumstances. But all right, so that's why I think it's fair if everything stays healthy and intact that, you should see a better offense that makes you feel good about things, and 8 wins. I think. So, all right, let's go back to let's go to our guy Primetime 92. Wake up, my dogs. Last time you got into a heated argument with somebody that was not a family member, your spouse or girlfriend. I'll go first. I don't know. It wasn't too heated, but I got mouthy. When I actually went to Kenny Shaw's camp out in Windermere like 2 weeks ago, I was leaving. It wasn't with anybody at the camp. Shout out to Kenny, raw as ever. I went to this like chain sandwich shop, and there was only one spot left, and it was right out front of the store. And I got ready to turn to the parking spot, but there was a contractor in his van, and he opened the door ajar. And I stopped my turn, and, you know, I kind of waved at him to go ahead, get out of your car. And then he starts nodding his head at me like, no. And then I roll down the window. I'm like, hey, man, I'm trying to park here. And he just shrugs his shoulders at me. And I'm like, are you serious? So I'm like waiting for him to shut the door for another like 3 or 4 seconds, but it felt like eternity. And he doesn't. He keeps leaving his door ajar. So I drive away and I do a loop and I find a parking spot. And as I'm walking in there, I'm like, all right, whatever. It's been a long day. Listen, everybody, I had to wake up and go get a rental car and drive 7 hours back and forth to Orlando to cover a camp in like 98-degree heat. Your boy wasn't all that excited about life that day. It happens. And as I'm walking, I'm like, and I stop and I turn, I'm like, hey, man, I'm like, what's your problem? And he's like, excuse me? I'm like, you left your door open. I'm trying to park in this spot. I would have liked to be able to park in the spot. He's like, who told you that you couldn't? I'm like, you, man, you left your door open. He starts chuckling. I'm like, hey, man, I don't think it's funny. And then he stops chuckling. He's like, you got a problem? I'm like, I do have a problem. I'm like, you're really inconsiderate. Did you ever think about the fact that people might want to park in that spot? And then he just shakes his head at me. He's like, go inside. I'm like, no, man. I'm like, I'm good. Are you good? I'm like, are you going to keep leaving your door open when you see people trying to get into the spot? And then he shuts the door, and then he put his hand out the window and flicked me off, and I walked into the place and grabbed my sandwich.
Okay. That went about as well as I thought it would.
It's all, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not a tough guy. I don't claim to be a tough guy. I have a bad temper. Unfortunately, I live in a state where a lot of people have guns and they like to use them. So you can't do the stuff that you would like to do when you back in the 90s and stuff. So you kind of have to
right.
pick your spots. So that was probably the last quote-unquote heated argument I've gotten to somebody that wasn't family.
Does Shanna count?
I'm
certainly not going to detail any of those. And we actually don't have a ton of heated arguments. I don't think she should count. I think she's grandfathered in as a former wife.
Yeah.
I don't like to say ex-wife. She's a former wife. Former wife. I think that's kinder. I don't like calling her my ex. She's my former. I can't remember the last heat. I've gotten into some arguments with Ira, for sure. But I don't remember what they were about necessarily. I know we got into one about the rest area.
From the Miami game? Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that stupid rest area where so I'll tell this story if you haven't heard it. This was 10 years ago or so. I don't even know if we were working together yet. I think he might have been the Osceola and I was still working at the Democrat. I don't remember. Maybe we were together. Anyway, it was 2012, so 10 years ago. We're driving to Gainesville on I-10. I think Corey Dowler, Tom Lang. Tom Lang was in the car with us. And we're driving to Gainesville. It's like 2 p.m. I've got to pee. Ira has to pee. He's like, hey, man, can you pull off? I got to pee. And I'm like, all right, here's a rest area coming up. He's like, no. I'm like, yeah, we're going to a rest area. And I pull into a rest area. And he goes, I don't want to park here. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to park here? You have to pee, right? He's like, yeah, but rest areas are for vagrants and bums. And I'm like, man, go pee. And he's like, this is, and it got it. I mean, we were yelling at each other. Like, what do you mean? I don't want to get off at the exit to go to a gas station. That's going to take 5 or 10 extra minutes. There's a rest area right here specifically for this purpose, for you to have to urinate. Go pee on a tree for all I care. But go pee. And then I asked him if he'd get me a Coke, and he told me to go F myself. So that was, but I mean, we've had plenty of arguments since then, but that's the one that will always stick out. Tom Lang remembers it. I can promise you that.
Okay. Also, I want to pat myself on the back. I didn't report the guy to his bosses. I could have been petty and called his company that was plastered all over his truck and be like, hey, you got to, but I don't do that though. I don't play like that. I say my piece. I move along with my life. Keep it moving. Second part, we're not going to answer. What's the bravest thing you've ever done?
I got an answer to that.
Okay, all right, go for it.
When I flew to L.A. in 2014. There you go. I did it. I got on a plane, guys. Against every better judgment that I have in my body, I got on a plane and it landed in L.A. and then it landed back in Atlanta.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what's maybe the bravest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of bravery. I mean, something is the better part of valor. Discretion is the better part of valor.
Discretion, yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I'm like, all right, no need to chance it. So sorry to. You were hoping for some epic story where I like save the day. No, maybe I haven't forgot about it. I don't like talking about.
Probably haven't had a lot of. We don't have a lot of chances either. Not a ton of opportunities.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Any recommendation on things to do in San Diego? I'm going in 2 weeks for a wedding of my former roommate at FSU.
Ex-roommate. I would say the zoo apparently is cool. I've never been, but they got some pandas, I think.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I have been. It's awesome.
The downtown area by Petco or whatever it's called now, the ballpark, I really like that. I was there. I was actually there the trip I was talking about in L.A. The night before we left, we stayed in San Diego, and it's a really cool area. It's got a lot of like rooftop bars and just cool restaurants and bars. It's cool to walk around. Other than that, I've been in San Diego for like 18 hours of my life, so I don't have a ton of recommendations.
I think I heard somewhere that San Diego might be a sister city of Tampa. It's like the West Coast Tampa, which I'm like, that's pretty cool. But I can't give you any recommendation. I know that where's Zach at? Souza, ZP, Zach used to live in San Diego. If you're listening to this, tag Primetime92 and let him know where to go in San Diego. That'd be cool.
It's supposed to be a cool ballpark. So
yeah.
If the Padres are in town, maybe go see that. You know, San Diego was discovered in, when was it, 1908 by the Germans?
Really?
No, that's from Anchorman.
I know.
It means
Civil War.
I won't
wooden
say that.
ship.
Yeah, that's right.
Wooden ship. All right,
diversity, yeah.
Gator 188. Wake up, gentlemen! Just over a month before practice starts. That's correct. Yeah, like 66 days maybe. While you're listening to 65 days maybe. I don't know. What is the best advice you have ever been given in your life? Has Brady ever attended an FSU baseball camp? Have a great day. Go Noles. I don't know if it's best advice. I remember a dude I worked with in Jackson, which I should have heard this well before in my life, but I didn't hear about it until I was like 32 years old or something. But said what's the whole thing? It's easier to beg for forgiveness than to ask for permission.
Yeah.
So
that's an old tried and true one.
Yeah. So that's
I've gotten a lot, man. My dad was smart. My mom is very smart. They've given me advice over the years. My sister even if I chose to listen to her. But I had a friend, not even that good a friend, just a high school friend. This was way back when we were just announcing that Brady. It was like Brady's. I don't know. Brady was about to be born. I don't know why he would have even been there, but he was congratulating me that Brady was coming along, and he was already a father, and he's like, look, what I will tell you is, you put them on your schedule, not on you. Don't adjust your life to their schedule. You make the schedule. So if you want Brady to go to sleep later, let him go to sleep later. If you want him to wake up earlier, make him wake up earlier. If you want to listen to your music in the car and not the Wiggles or whoever little toddlers listen to, he listens to your music. Like, let him adapt to the parent, not the parent changing their whole life for the kid. Now, obviously, the life completely changes. Like, the first year of Brady's life, I stayed at home. I was like a stay-at-home dad and still working. I was taking him to basketball practice when he was 1, so I could get interviews. Like, I did all that, but, I was like, man, I don't have to wake up why put him to bed this early if he's going to wake up at 5 in the morning? Why don't I put him to bed a little later and he maybe wakes up at 7:30?
I don't know. That sounds so. I love that. I love that because, you talk about it with my friends and everything. Like, it's like it's a kid. Like, why? I get it. It becomes your life, and you tailor everything around the child. But like, there are certain things like they're not going to fight you over it. It's a little kid. Just
right.
Establish the ground rules, and like they'll be fine. They don't need to go to bed at 7:00. They don't need to be. They're going to get fussy if I don't put them down at 6:30. All right, well then, good luck. Then have fun waking up at 3 a.m. Have fun. Yeah. What do you expect the kid to do?
So I mean, of course, I had a bunch of ideas about how I was going to parent before I was one, especially when it came to a baby. Like I was like, man, I'm not watching his stuff. He can watch the Braves with me. He'll like it. It's just colors on a TV. What does he care? It's just colors on a TV. But no, I did change that, and he was watching. I can't remember the
Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues. Oh God, that show. Oh man, it was just so bad. Everything is just so bad. Wow, what was the other one? There was one that he watched all the time.
Paw
that would
Patrol?
not stop. It tickled me. The Elmo show he loved, and but the one thing I held fast to was Paw Patrol was another one. was the music. I never played little toddler music.
Good.
And he grew up listening to like Oasis and Pearl Jam, and so he knows those now. He doesn't even know how he knows like Daughter or Better Man, but he can sing along to him because he's been listening to him his whole time. That was the one thing I held tried and true. It's like, man, if I'm driving this little guy around, I am not listening to the Wiggles. I'm not listening to goofy ass music. I'm not doing it. And that was the one thing I held on to.
My man.
It was the one that was like Creature Report, Creature. I can't remember the name of it though. But I would sing that. I could not get it out of my head for I don't know, 5 years. Well, way until he was in elementary school and he wasn't watching anymore. I still sang Creature Report in my head, and I can't remember the name of that show.
The Octonauts?
That sounds. Is that it? Did you look it up?
I Googled Creature Report.
Yeah.
And it comes up. Maybe that'll be our opening song. Man. Maybe that'll be the opening for this show, so folks know why there was a weird children's song playing. Now you know why. Now you know why. All right, that is a wrap for us then, Corey. We got to it. There were some omissions, but I think we worked around it, and it should all make sense, hopefully, in the end here. Which, by the way, also, Noel Hollis says, Corey, if you haven't done already, you need to try Cran Mango Diet 5 with your vodka. It's not too bad, and it's low carb.
Okay, but is it carbonated? Not just the carbonation is what I'm trying to stay away from. But if it's not carbonated, I'm looking for everything. So right now the water is treating me well though. I'm on a winning streak with this thing. I'm under 170 for the first time, Aslan.
All right.
I've officially lost right at 20 pounds. I looked it up, and I also looked it up. So February 18th was my first day in the gym. Okay. With my man Bill. Yeah. Was my first day in the gym. So I've been doing it for right at 4 months.
Yeah, not even 6 months, and you've transformed your life. That's incredible, man. Way to be. That's awesome.
In my body, I'm like an Adonis.
Yeah.
You should see me. I want to do the next live show I'm doing without a shirt on.
Okay.
That was the biggest jip about a Marius Mims. I didn't get to wear my white tank top that I was going to wear if he'd committed.
Look what you did, Marius. Look what you did.
Yeah, hope you're happy, man. Hope you're happy in Athens.
All the wreckage you left behind.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap for us. I think we'll drop a Friday show, Corey. I think I'm going to have Austin Cox on the show to talk about his top 40. He's been chomping at the bit to sound off on that stuff. So we'll let our guy run free on Friday. You'll be busy. You got stuff. You got places to go and stuff to do, right? So
correct. Right.
Okay,
right.
So we're all good on that. And if there's
unless there's something to talk about that we'd have to do a show for.
Okay. All right. Right on. That's it. That's a wrap for us then. We're done. Stay connected, warchant.com. There'll plenty coming up throughout the week and the weekend. He's Corey. I am Aslan. Thank you again for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And don't forget, Friday, head out to Southwood. Top Tracer Range. It'll be fun. Charity. Everybody wins. Have a great one, everybody. We love you.